Hello again, everybody. Gary Furman and Matt Shodell here, and today we are talking about the future of the Miami Hurricanes, the immediate future, as a matter of fact, and we are focusing on the quarterback position. And Matt, I think that things could get a little interesting at the quarterback position. I think there's the possibility that things could happen here that nobody is even thinking about right now. And let's start with Tyler Van Dyke and all the different things that potentially could go on with him. You know, we're waiting to hear how severely injured he is. We should get better word on that, I guess, as Monday goes on. But regardless, he, no question, came into this season thinking that I'm going to have a great year this year. I am going to be projected as the first round draft pick in the NFL, and I'm going to go into the NFL draft next April. You know, he and his camp would probably deny that they had no plan. I don't believe it. I think that that was the plan. And I think that plan has been compromised, Matt. You know, number one, he hasn't had the greatest season in the world. He's had a couple good games. I think it's been pretty clear that he needs another year in college. I'm not sure how well he's meshing with Miami offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis. That's part of the equation, I believe, going forward. And I think that it's almost certain that he is going to have to play another year of college football. Now, here's where I'm going to throw the monkey wrenches into all kinds of stuff. Is Gaddis going to be here? Is Gaddis not going to be here? If Gaddis is here, do Tyler Van Dyke's people say, Tyler, you didn't have a good experience in 2022 under Josh Gaddis. This is your money year, okay? Sounds crazy, but does Tyler Van Dyke consider going into the transfer portal, Matt? I know I'm opening a can of worms here. I don't think it's out of the question. I think someone like, for example, like a Rhett Lashley is going to be sending feelers to Tyler Van Dyke. I think there'll be feelers to Jacory Brown. I think there'll be feelers to Jake Garcia. And I think as we sit here and we look at this quarterback position into the future, I don't think that all three of these guys will be back next year. I know you're going to agree with that. But just talking about Tyler specifically first, I don't think it's a guarantee that he's the quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes next year. Your thoughts?
Well, it is the new era of college football, which is after every year, every good player is a free agent, and they'll go to the highest bidder, hypothetically. Unlike the NFL, where you have a contract where you're stuck in it for 3 years, and college football every day is a new day. You get an offer for an NIL deal one day, and whoever's giving you the deal suggests, hey, maybe you want to go to this school. You can transfer to that school, you know, and it's ridiculous. I'm not a fan of the whole system just because I think it's nice in college football that you get to follow somebody's career for so long. They're a freshman. You sort of get to know who they are. They're a student athlete. You follow their career throughout. Now, all of a sudden, it's, you know, you had one really good year as a backup. You're poised to be the next great thing. But the guy ahead of you is coming back another year. So, hey, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere else. So that way I go to the NFL a year before I otherwise would have. To me, it's unfortunate. I guess it's good for the student athlete, not so good for the fan, which is who I'm thinking of. And as it relates to the Miami Hurricanes quarterback situation, which is what we're writing about today, anything can happen, right? Because it is the Wild West, as Gary Furman calls it. We're technically in the East. We're technically in the East, so it's really the Wild East. But, you know, Gary can call it whatever he wants. So will Tyler Van Dyke be back? Is there friction probably with the offensive coordinator? Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen when the offense is averaging 22 points when you take out the first game, when things haven't looked real good at times.
And you have plans to go to the NFL, and you stink, and you're not playing well the first few weeks.
Yeah, and the Rhett Lashley thing makes sense, but in general, just overall, it doesn't make sense for a player like Tyler to transfer just because he knows the timing with the receivers, who, you know, many of them will be back. He knows the system, and he has played well within it in the last 2.5 games, you know, before getting hurt. So it'll be an interesting situation there. But, you know, if he is back, I don't think Jake Garcia will be back. And I've been saying for a while now, I wanted to see Jake Garcia get a chance to play a real game, practice with the first team for a week, get a game. I think it was fairly obvious watching this game. He did not do well. You know, he was trying to push the ball downfield when they were, you know, playing cover two, which is very difficult to do. And he tried to do it anyway because it was sort of desperation mode, and he paid for it with 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown.
Playing hero ball.
Is that he played badly? Is that an indicative of who he is as a quarterback? I don't think so. Will another program happily take him next year? Of course. Could he be a star at another program next year? Of course. Could he be a star at Miami? Well, if Tyler Van Dyke's back, he'll be behind Tyler Van Dyke, assuming Josh Gaddis is the coordinator, because that's Josh Gaddis' guy. If Tyler Van Dyke leaves,
I think it's everybody's guy right now.
The timing of this also is interesting, because hypothetically, Jake Garcia could leave before spring ball to get spring ball somewhere else, and Tyler Van Dyke could leave when he gets a big NIL deal after Jake Garcia leaves. Hypothetically, Miami could lose Tyler Van Dyke and Jake Garcia, and that could happen in any program around the nation. And it's a little ridiculous, but it's true. That can happen in this modern era of the Wild East, which leaves you with Jacory Brown or a freshman or two as your starters, or a transfer portal guy. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
It's really hard to say right now what might happen. What we do know is that Tyler Van Dyke played very, very poorly the first few games, played really, really well the last 2.5 games. Jake Garcia has not really gotten the chance because he hasn't practiced with the first team at all year, but he did get a chance in a couple of games. Did okay for a big play in the first game, did okay for 2 big plays this last game, but then had some really bad mistakes that he has to avoid in the future. Does he have a great arm? Yes. Does he have ability? Yes. Did he make some really bad choices? Yes. He'll tell you that too. It's a learning process. Is he the answer for the Miami Hurricanes in the future if Tyler leaves? I don't know. He might get beaten out by Jacory Brown next year. So I don't know. We don't know. Jacory Brown, he as Gary said, he's on the message boards. He's looked really, really good in practices now, and maybe he is the next future great quarterback at Miami. Maybe
I said improved. I'm not ready to.
Okay, so Gary's still putting him at a wide receiver, but I still think he has a really good future at quarterback.
He lined up at wide receiver this past game, by the way.
I know.
I was laughing. I'm like, they finally did it, and they gave him the ball on a jet sweep. It was awesome. Yeah. I'm thinking, finally. I brought this up 2 months ago.
Well, now I lost my whole train of thought because
You're rattled by that, right?
You laughing.
You're rattled by the great vision of Gary Furman.
I don't know what I'd rather watch, you laughing or the Duke game on replay. It's a toss-up.
I think you got to look at Bo Nix. A couple examples. Bo Nix he was starting quarterback at Auburn for a couple of years, goes to Oregon, and is, other than their season opener where they got stampeded by Georgia, he's having a really good season. So his new life at Oregon has worked out really, really well. You got the Adrian Martinez kid that went from Nebraska, where they struggled and he was kind of considered disposable, goes to K-State, and he's been doing great there. So there are examples all over college football of quarterbacks that started at one school and still went in the transfer portal and went somewhere else. And I'm just sitting here thinking, and I could see okay, you have options, Tyler. Okay, what's your offensive line going to look like next year? Okay, that remains to be determined, but you got to think about that. Your offensive line was horrendous the last couple of years. This year in particular, you have paid the price for that. What's your receiving core going to be like? Okay, Colby Young has stepped up. He looks like he's a decent player. Xavier Restrepo hopefully will be healthy. What's the rest of the receiver core going to look like? Who is Miami able to get in the transfer portal? And what makes the most sense for you to maximize your showcase and your ability in your next year of college? Is it staying at Miami and being the quarterback at Miami, or is it going to another school? I think that is going to be part of the process in the offseason. We'll see what happens. Then you mentioned Jake Garcia's situation. If Tyler stays and Tyler's the starting quarterback at Miami next year, Jake Garcia most likely goes to the transfer portal and looks for a new opportunity. I think Jacory Brown, with Jaden Rashada coming into the mix here in a few weeks, I think Jacory Brown is his camp or him directly are going to get approached by some people saying, hey, it's not looking really good for you at Miami really to play anytime real soon. Do you think you'd be interested in going in the transfer portal and coming to this school? Or maybe he goes through spring practice and sees how he does in the spring. And then if he's not in the starting quarterback or the number 2 quarterback at that point, then maybe he then goes into the transfer portal, transfers somewhere else for the fall. So that is a possibility. We got to see what happens with Jaden Rashada and Emory Williams. Miami's hoping, obviously, that Jaden Rashada's commitment sticks. They look at him as a generational quarterback. They think Jaden Rashada is going to be a college football star at Miami. So he has been a huge priority in recruiting. His NIL guarantees and promises, I'm sure, are going to be extremely high. They can't sign until they get to school. Rashada gets here, I believe, in January. So Emory Williams, can Miami hang on to him? I'm sure he's having suitors calling him and his family right now saying, you sure you want to go to Miami? It's crowded at quarterback. How about coming here? So a lot can happen. A lot is going to be happening, Matt, to sum it all up at the quarterback position in the coming months. And today we begin our series looking at the future, and you could see how complicated the future can be just based on this conversation. We begin with the quarterback position. Your final thought.
Just that University of Miami quarterback is a really important position. It's the face of the program, and it's going to be really, really interesting because of NIL to see what transpires here. It's impossible to predict. On face value, it seems okay. Tyler Van Dyke won't go pro because he's had some problems this year. He's not good enough to go in the first round right now. So he'll come back and he'll be the starter. But no, because NIL throws everything up in the air. So coaches almost have to be really, really nice to their players now, which is not really the norm for anybody.
It's not their nature.
It's not the norm for anybody. It used to be you're really nice to people. It was the big joke was, in recruiting, you're really, really nice, and they sign, and you call them, it's, hey, go do that, get me coffee, and that sort of thing. And it's true because in the old days when a player signed, you pretty much, they were yours. They had no recourse. They had to do what you say, work as hard as you told them to do. You could be as mean to them as you wanted to do to try to get the most out of them. Now you do that, they don't like you, they leave with no repercussions. So that's why it's all, you mentioned Good Morning CaneSport this morning. We mentioned how one of the players' moms was saying how Josh Gattis was really mean to the players, You almost can't do that anymore. They should be able to, but they can't. And if Tyler's not happy here, and if Tyler has to come back for another year, you don't know. You don't know what'll happen.
So it's going to be really interesting, and we hope you enjoy this series beginning today with the quarterbacks. If you like this content, you like our channel, hit your subscribe button, hit your like button. It helps us with the YouTube algorithms, and we appreciate it. Hope by now you're already a subscriber at canesport.com. Our $1 site move special is about to end. You got about 1 week left to take advantage of that. So encouraging everybody to do that. So for Metro Dell, I'm Gary Furman. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time, everybody.